Hey guys, this is test 53 game 1. This is the Talent Agency Performers game. It's a matching game, also known as assignment. We know this because we're taking the 5 performers, T, W, X, Y, Z, and assigning them to one of 3 agencies, F, P, and S. I've laid out some rules here, but I'll explain all of them. We've got X signing with fame, so as such, we know that Y can't be there because X and Y are never together, and because Y and Z are always together, Z cannot be there either. Then we've got the rule that TS requires WS. I wouldn't bother taking the contrapositive here, simply because I don't think it would be useful. If W was not S, then T was not S. Well, W not WS means WF or P, not TS means TF or TP. It's a little bit too vague for me to think it's useful, so I'm not going to bother. This is pretty much it, our initial setup for the game. You could make 2 main diagrams, one with YZ on P, one with YZ on S. I don't think it would be useful, though, just because Y and Z aren't involved in this rule as well, so they're not going to link together. So anyway, the first question is a typical orientation question. We're just taking one rule at a time and applying that rule to all 5 choices, looking for violations. So first of all, we know X has to be on fame. We could look for violations of that. So choice D can be eliminated because X is not there, only Y and Z are, so D is gone. We know X and Y can never be together, period. So let's look for violations of that. Don't see any hits there. Oh, actually, no, we do. Choice E has X and Y together. Therefore, E can be eliminated. We know that Y and Z always have to be together. So let's look for them separated. Choice C has them separated, so C is gone. Finally, we have the rule that TS requires WS. We see that, choice A has T on S, but has W on P, not on S as well. Therefore, A is gone, leaving B for number 1. Next, number 2, general could be true question. We'll just run through the choices. W, the only one on S. That would actually work fine. We could have W on S, we could have YZ on P, and then the remaining variable is T. We could have T on either X or P, works perfectly fine as long as we don't activate, we could even activate this rule, but we can't because WS is the only thing there. T on F or P works perfectly fine, therefore A is good for number 2. I will look at the rest though. Next choice B, WYZ all on P. If we put WY and Z all on P, we would need to have T on S because every agency has to have at least one thing. TS requires WS, but WP is the case here, therefore B can't possibly work, and B is eliminated. Next, looking at C, X and Z together. That never works. X and Z are always separated due to the fact that X can't be with Y, and Y and Z are always together, so C is gone. Z, the only thing on S. That can't work because Z and Y are always together, so Z is never alone. Then looking at E, 3 things on fame. That's not going to work because Y and Z can't be there. So if we had 3 things on fame, that would have to be T and W. Then we'd have Y and Z either together on P or together on S. But then one of P or S would be empty, and no agency can be empty, so E's gone as well, leaving S. Next, number 3, general must be true question. We'll just run through the choices here. W and Z don't sign the same agency as each other. Well, what if we put W and Z together on S? Of course, Z and Y go together, so we would have Y there. We could then put T on P. Works perfectly fine. We're not activating the TS requires WS rule. Works out okay. Therefore, A does not have to be true, can be eliminated. Next, looking at B, F signs at most 2. That actually must be true because Y and Z cannot go there. So we could never have 3 things on X. We could have X with T and X with W, but the problem we run into is that then we'd have to have Y and Z on P or S, but Y and Z always have to be together, so therefore one of PS would be empty. That's not permitted. So for that reason, we have to have a maximum of 2 things on F. So choice B is our answer for number 3. Next, number 4. What would completely determine the layout of performers to agencies, leaving no ambiguity at all? Well, let's look through the choices here and scan for what seems particularly limiting. Of course, X signing with fame doesn't determine anything because X always signs with fame, and there's still plenty of ambiguity in the game, so for that reason we can eliminate D off the bat. Next, looking at Z with P, Y and Z going on P or S, either way is perfectly fine. ZY being on P doesn't limit us to only one possibility because it doesn't resolve exactly where T and W go. We could have ZY on P, have W on S, then we wouldn't know where T goes, so for that reason E can be eliminated as well. Looking through the remaining choices, of course, W being on P also doesn't limit things. W could be on either P or S, doesn't activate any other rule, so it's still pretty open-ended. Looking at B though, T on S, TS requires WS, So we already have T and W locked down to S. Then we have the YZ box here. They have to go on P in order for P to not be empty. So choice B determines everything to this particular scenario. Next, number 5, if Z was with S. So if Z is with S, that means Y has to be with S also because Z and Y always go together. Then we have T and W remaining. At least one of them has to go on P and maybe both. Now we can't have T on S because TS would require WS, then P would be empty. So I'm going to cross off T saying that T cannot go on S. We need at least one of TW on P, maybe both. We don't know exactly where the other one's going to go. They're asking us what must be false. So 4 of these things could be true. One of them cannot be true. So P doing exactly one thing, that could happen. We could have one of TW on P and have the other on perhaps F, for example. So A is gone. Looking at B, S having exactly 3 things. Doesn't have to be the case. S could have only 2 and T and W could be spread along P, F and P. So B is gone. Looking at C, T with S. Must that be false? Yes, because as we just said, T cannot be with S. So choice C. If T were with S, W would be there also, and then we'd have nothing on P. That's why C is impossible. I'll look at the rest though. W with S. Yeah, W could go on either P or F. That's not limited. And then choice E. No one else with X. Yeah, X could be alone. We could have both T and W on P as well, so E is gone, leaving C.